everything came to a standstill in the busy marketplace. People walking by suddenly stopped moving. The loud chatter of vendors went completely quiet. There, lying in the sandy dirt, was an old woman making soft sounds of pain. Her traditional cloth was now dirty and stained. Her head covering had slipped off, showing her gray hair underneath. Water filled her eyes, not only because of the physical hurt from being kicked, but also from feeling embarrassed in front of everyone. But before we jump into this wild tale, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with your friends and family. I'd also love to hear where you're watching from in the comments below. Your support truly keeps me going. Now, let's get into this amazing story. Standing tall above her was a young lady dressed in an expensive black shirt, torn designer jeans, and clean sneakers that clearly didn't belong in this dusty market setting. Her dark sunglasses showed the reflection of the watching crowd, but they couldn't hide the lack of shame on people's faces around her. With both hands placed firmly on her waist, and speaking in a proud, nasty tone, she said words that would soon spread all over social media. "Listen here, you poor woman asking for handouts. Next time, make sure you know who you're talking to before begging for cash. Do you really believe everyone is as low as you are? You're just too lazy to work. That's exactly why you have to beg for money," the young woman declared, leaning down toward the fallen elderly lady like royalty talking down to a servant. "So, let me tell you who I am. Nadia Abraham. I work as a software engineer at Innovative Hub. I bet you've never even heard of that place. Right," she continued with a mean laugh. "Well, what? Obviously you haven't. Your poor kids will never be good enough to get jobs at a company like mine." The woman on the ground just stared up at her, completely shocked by what she was hearing. Providing form to set for the world. "I have a job at the biggest technology company in all of Africa," Nadia went on, flipping her braided hair dramatically as she made an angry sound and pushed through the crowd to leave. People started whispering to each other. Cell phones came out to record what was happening. A tall young man quickly ran over to help the woman, gently helping her sit up properly. "Ma'am, are you hurt badly?" he asked in a gentle voice, carefully brushing the dust off her shoulder. But Nadia paid no attention to any of this. She was already walking toward the vegetable section of the market. Her thoughts were focused on picking out the best peppers and chicken to make her favorite coconut rice dish. What she had no idea about, what nobody in that entire market could have known, was that the woman she had just kicked and insulted was actually the mother of Jennifer Okoye, the billionaire who started and runs Innovative Hub as CEO. And when Monday morning came around, her entire life would be turned upside down. 3 months before this happened, Nadia Abraham had always had big hopes and dreams for her future. She was born and grew up on the busy, crowded streets of Ajigon, living in a small apartment building where many families shared the same space and where dreams often got crushed by being poor. But Nadia was different. She refused to give up. She was really smart and had a strong desire to succeed. When she received acceptance into Unilag with a complete scholarship to study computer science, her mother cried tears of happiness and pride. Her father had died when she was only 11 years old. Her mother made money by selling oranges on the side of busy roads. Her younger brothers and sisters looked up to her like she was some kind of superhero. She had every good reason to stay humble and remember the hard life she came from. But everything changed completely the day she got her job offer letter from Innovative Hub. This wasn't just any regular job. It was a software engineer position at the most respected and famous technology company on the entire continent. The job came with a salary of 6 figures, a company car for her to drive, a fully furnished apartment in the nice area of Lekki, and a special access card that would let her into a building that most computer programmers only dreamed about working in. She had finally made it to the top, and along with her success came feelings of pride, then arrogance, and then a cold rejection of everything from her past life. The first thing she did was stop answering her mother's phone calls, unless it was very late at night. She told people it was because she was always in important meetings. She stopped sending money back home to help her family as much as she used to. Now she took expensive boat rides instead of regular buses, ate fancy sushi instead of simple rice and beans, and signed up for a costly gym membership in Victoria Island. Then she completely stopped talking to her best friend from school, Tope, telling her straight to her face, "You're not on my level anymore." She no longer smiled at her neighbors, or said hello to older men waiting at bus stops. Instead, she would walk around with her head held high, carrying a designer handbag, and would tell anyone who tried to talk to her, "Watch how you speak to me. I work at Innovative Hub." It was a Friday afternoon. Nadia had just finished fixing some complicated computer code for a new financial technology app. Everyone on her work team congratulated her for how fast and smart she was at solving the problem. Jonathan, the mysterious company CEO, she had never actually met in person, even sent her a thumbs-up message through his personal assistant. By 5:30 in the evening, she grabbed her phone, threw her work ID badge into her bag, and drove away from the Lekki office building with loud Afrobeat music playing from her car speakers. She was really wanting some coconut rice, and nobody cooked better chicken and peppers than Mama Chidinma at the local market. She parked her car a little distance away from the market entrance, locked it up tight, and walked confidently into the busy, noisy market, wearing jeans that fit her perfectly and the shirt tied around her waist. She looked completely different from all the people around her, and she really loved that feeling of standing out. As she walked past the different vendor stalls, ignoring people's greetings and cutting in front of others waiting in lines, someone gently touched her wrist. "Please, my daughter," came the shaky, weak voice of a woman wearing a faded traditional wrap and an oversized shirt. "Even if you can only spare 100 naira, I haven't had any food since this morning." "God will bless you for helping me." Nadia stopped moving completely. Her nose flared up with anger. "Ooh, take your hand off me right now," she snapped angrily, pulling her arm away quickly, but the woman reached out her hand again. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you upset. Please just help me with something small." People in the crowd started to notice what was happening. Nadia's voice got louder and more aggressive. "Are you completely crazy? You put your hands on me. Do I look like I'm on the same level as you?" She lifted up her leg and kicked the woman hard. The woman fell backward onto the dusty ground. People around them screamed out loud. Some gasped in shock. Someone in the crowd yelled, "Hey, she's old enough to be your mother." But Nadia didn't care at all about what people were saying. She walked over to where the woman had fallen, bent down close to her face, and said the exact same words that would soon completely destroy her career. "My name is Nadia Abraham. I'm a software engineer at Innovative Hub, which is the largest tech company in all of Africa. Your children will never know what it feels like to have a job like mine." She made another angry sound and walked away from the scene. But somewhere in the crowd, a person stood quietly recording the entire incident on their phone. Another person helped the woman get back on her feet and walked with her gently to a corner area of the market. The next morning, that same woman who had been kicked disappeared from the streets, only to walk into a huge mansion on Banana Island, where a personal assistant was waiting for her at the front door. "Welcome back home, Madam Maraca," the assistant said while bowing respectfully. The woman who had been kicked and left in the dirt was now wearing a beautiful silk dress and sparkling diamond earrings, and, by Monday morning, she would be having a meeting with her son and the girl who had dared to show such disrespect to her. Monday morning, the truth comes out. By 8:45 in the morning on Monday, the glass doors of Innovative Hub spun open smoothly, The receptionist stopped talking mid-sentence and froze when she saw the woman walking in. She was wearing a perfectly fitted emerald green lace dress that sparkled beautifully under the bright ceiling lights. Her high heels made soft clicking sounds against the shiny marble floors. A pair of diamond earrings sparkled underneath her neatly braided hair that was styled up elegantly. Her dark skin had a healthy glow. Her whole presence carried grace, power, and the kind of quiet dignity that made people automatically stand up out of respect. It was the exact same woman that Nadia had kicked in the market, but today, she wasn't dressed in poverty. She was dressed in truth. "Good morning, man. You look familiar to me," the receptionist said nervously, getting up from her chair. The woman smiled warmly. "Good morning, dear. I'm here to see Jonathan Okoye. Please tell him his mother is here to visit." Her words hit like thunder. Jonathan's mother. The receptionist blinked her eyes rapidly, reaching quickly for the phone. "Yes, ma'am. Right away, ma'am." Upstairs in the executive office on the 17th floor, Jonathan Okoye was looking over project schedules when the phone call came through. "Sir," his assistant said carefully, "your mother is here. She says she needs to speak with you privately." Jonathan's eyebrows came together with surprise. "My mother?" he repeated, putting down his iPad. He hadn't been expecting her visit. Madame Maraca rarely came to his office without calling first. She preferred staying at her quiet home, working in her garden, attending her church meetings. The last time she had visited his workplace was during the company's 5-year anniversary celebration 2 years ago. "Let her come in," he said. A few moments later, the door opened, and his facial expression changed from confusion to admiration. "Mama," he smiled, standing up from his chair. "John," she said warmly, walking into the office. He hugged her gently, sensing that something wasn't quite right. "Is everything okay?" he asked, looking closely at her face. She sat down in one of the guest chairs, crossed her legs, and looked at him with calm, steady eyes. "I'm fine, but I need to see one of your employees in person." He blinked with surprise. "An employee?" She nodded her head. "Her name is Nadia Abraham." Jonathan leaned back slowly, looking confused. "Nadia? One of our front-end developers?" "Yes," she said quietly, folding her hands on her lap. There was something in his mother's voice, controlled and deliberate, but not angry, more like she was disappointed. He pressed a button on his desk phone. "Get Nadia Abraham to my office immediately." The confrontation downstairs. Nadia was showing off a new hairstyle to her coworkers when her phone started buzzing. In call from front desk, HR. "Hello." "Hi, Nadia. Come to the CEO's office right now." "What?" Nadia smiled widely as she stood up. "See, I told you guys I'm going places," she said proudly to the others around her. "Ah, maybe I'm getting a promotion." She straightened her blouse, adjusted her ID badge, and walked like she was going to meet the president of the country. She knocked twice on the door, then walked in confidently, her heels making echoing sounds in the room. "Good morning, sir," she said, showing her biggest smile. Then she turned to the older woman sitting next to him. She smiled sweetly. "Good morning, man." But the smile on Madame Maraca's face didn't match Nadia's at all. Jonathan leaned forward in his chair. "Nadia, this is my mother. She asked to see you personally." "Oh, wow," Nadia said with wide eyes. "It's such an honor to meet you, Mom." Madame Maraca didn't smile back. She tilted her head slightly. "I think we've met before." What? Nadia laughed nervously. "Ah, no, ma'am. I don't think so. Maybe you've confused me with someone else." "No," Madame Maraca said, her voice still calm, but her eyes much sharper now. "I know exactly who I saw." Nadia's smile started to fade a little bit. Madame Maraca reached into her handbag and pulled out her phone. She tapped the screen. then turned it toward Nadia. A video started playing. It was the market scene. There was Nadia, clear as daylight, in her jeans and sunglasses. Do you think everyone is on your level? You're lazy. That's why you're begging. Then came the kick. Then the angry sound. Then, my name is Nadia Abraham. I'm a software engineer at Innovative Hub. Your poor children can never work there. Nadia's blood turned ice cold. Her legs became weak. Her mouth opened, but no words would come out. She took a step backward, her hands shaking badly.
No, ma'am. Please. I didn't know it was you.
Jonathan's face went pale with shock. His mother had been humiliated. His employee had been exposed. He tightened his jaw muscles and stood up. You kicked my mother, he said, slowly, disbelief clear in his voice.
Sir, please.
Nadia dropped down to her knees, tears spilling down her face. I didn't know. I thought she was just... a poor beggar.
Someone not in your class?
Madame Maraca said sharply. Nadia wept harder. I'm sorry. I swear I didn't mean to. You meant every single word. Madame Maraca cut in, still staying composed. You called me lazy. You said I'd never have a child who could work at your company. You kicked me like I was dirt. She looked at her son. Jonathan, this is the kind of person you've hired. Jonathan was still staring at Nadia. He shook his head slowly. We don't just hire for technical skills here, Nadia, he said, his voice heavy with disappointment. We hire for character, respect, kindness, and integrity. Please, I'll do anything. I'll apologize. Jonathan pressed the intercom button. Reem. Jane, please come in. His secretary entered the room. It started. In column. Effective immediately, he said without looking at Nadia. Terminate the employment of Nadia Abraham. Cancel all her access. Clear out her workstation. Nadia screamed out. Stay with. Please, said Jonathan. I'm sorry. Please. Madame Maraca stood up and walked toward the door. She paused and turned around. I'm not having you arrested, she said. Not because I can't, but because I want you to learn something. You're brilliant, but your pride is like poison. Let this fall teach you what life tried to whisper to you. She walked out without looking back, and Nadia collapsed right there on the cold tile floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Her dream job was gone. Her pride was completely shattered. The fall had just begun. The news spread quickly through the office. By lunchtime, the entire Innovative Hub building was buzzing with conversation. Some people whispered in shock. Others shook their heads with tight mouths full of judgment. A few employees who had once felt put down by Nadia quietly nodded, as if justice had finally caught up with her. Nadia's workstation was completely cleared out. Her ID badge was shut off and deactivated. The company car she had parked so confidently that morning was taken back before she could even ask for a second chance. As she walked out of the tall glass building, still shaking from crying so hard, her legs could barely carry her weight. The hot Lego sun beat down on her, but it was nothing compared to the burning heat of shame that was eating her up inside. Just last week, she had been the shining star of the company. Now, she was no different from the people she used to make fun of. She couldn't even look the security guards in the eye as she walked past them. Madam, one of the younger guards said, scratching his head. What happened? Sorry about whatever it was. But she didn't reply. She couldn't. Her mouth stayed completely shut. Her heart hurt too much to speak. Nadia couldn't even afford a taxi ride back home. She sat at a bus stop, under a faded Coca-Cola umbrella, biting her nails as she checked her bank account balance on her phone. 6,120 naira. That wouldn't even cover half of next month's rent payment. All her plans, the new car, the Dubai vacation she had bragged about, the iPhone 15 Pro she had pre-ordered, all gone. What hurt her the most wasn't even losing the job. It was how she lost it. She remembered the market. She remembered the look in Madame Maraca's eyes. Not anger, but disappointment. And worse, she remembered the quiet heartbreak on Jonathan's face when he realized she had humiliated his own mother. Her heart twisted with pain. What had she become? She thought to herself. She thought about her mother, her real mother, the one who still sold oranges by the side of the road. She hadn't spoken to her in 3 weeks, because she felt too important for that now. Nadia got on a rickety Danful bus, holding her bag tightly to her chest as she squeezed in between other passengers. The woman sitting next to her smelled like palm oil and fried plantain. Nadia cringed at the smell. A few months ago, this was completely normal. Today, it felt like punishment. But maybe it was exactly what she needed. Back to reality. When she got home to her small apartment in Sirulere, the air inside felt heavy and thick. Her framed job offer letter from Innovative Hub still hung proudly on the wall. The branded throw pillow with the company logo still sat on her couch. She tore them down, sank to the floor, and cried her heart out. The worst part of falling from grace isn't the landing. It's realizing how many people you hurt on your way up. In the days that followed, calls from banks came first. Then her gym membership ran out. Then her rent reminder arrived, with a 14-day warning notice. Nadia began applying for jobs like her life depended on it, because it did. She rewrote her resume. She made her LinkedIn headline simpler. She sent out over 40 job applications in the first week alone. Most companies didn't reply. Those who did offered unpaid internships or junior positions. She turned down a few at first, thinking they were beneath her, until her bank account dropped to 2,800 naira. Then she started rethinking what was truly beneath her. 3 weeks later, Nadia walked into a small tech startup located above a bakery in IKEA. The office space was tiny, just 2 rooms and a hallway. The team was mostly fresh graduates, and one overworked CTO with dark bags under his eyes. But they gave her a chance. A junior software engineer role with no benefits, no company car, no fancy building, just a desk, a laptop, and 80,000 naira a month. That was 5 times less than what she earned before. But she took it, and she said thank you, humbly. One Thursday evening, after a long day of fixing a stubborn payment feature, Nadia stepped out to buy bread from the bakery downstairs. As she waited in line, someone tapped her shoulder. She turned around. It was Tope, her old best friend. The same Tope she had cut off without any explanation when she thought she was too good for her. For a moment, Nadia froze completely. Tope stared at her. Her eyes didn't show hate, just surprise and quiet sadness. Tope. Nadia breathed. I'm so sorry. Tope raised her eyebrows. You remember me now. Nadia nodded slowly. I never forgot you. I just thought I didn't need anyone anymore. You don't say, Tope said with a sad smile. You told me we weren't in the same class. Nadia lowered her head in shame. I was wrong about everything. Tope studied her face for a long second, then slowly nodded. You've changed. I had to. They stood there in silence for a moment. Then Tope did something that broke Nadia's heart completely. She reached out and hugged her. Tears filled Nadia's eyes. No words were needed. 2 weeks later, Nadia returned to the same market. She wore a plain t-shirt and slippers this time. No sunglasses, no attitude. She walked slowly between the vendor stalls, her eyes searching until she found her. There she was, sitting near the same corner, wearing a simple Ankara dress, surrounded by other vendors. It was Madame Maraca, not in disguise this time. She had come with her church's outreach team to give food to some of the struggling traders. Nadia approached her slowly and carefully. "Good afternoon, man," she said softly. Madame Maraca turned and recognized her immediately. But this time, Nadia didn't wear pride or shame. She wore humility.
"I came to say thank you,"
Nadia whispered. "And to say I'm sorry again. You didn't deserve what I did to you. Nobody does." The older woman looked at her for a long moment, then gave the smallest nod. "You've learned," she said quietly. Nadia blinked back tears. "I'm trying to do better," she said. "You will," Madame Maraca replied. "If you don't forget this pain, you'll grow from it." And just like that, she turned back to handing out bags of rice and beans to people who needed them. But for Nadia, something had shifted inside her heart. She had started her journey down with a kick. Now she was climbing back up with every small act of humility, and life was watching. 3 months had passed since Nadia's big fall. Gone were the days of tinted car windows and elevator views from high office buildings. Now she took the stairs in a small startup building where the electricity flickered on and off, and the internet cut out without warning. Yet each keystroke she typed on her computer carried more meaning than ever before. She was no longer coding for praise or recognition. She was building her character, becoming a different Nadia. Nadia had changed completely, not just in the way she dressed, although she now wore simpler outfits with less attention-seeking shine, but in the way she spoke to people. She now greeted the office cleaner before anyone else every morning. She helped junior interns understand things without making them feel stupid. She even brought food to the security guard who once offered her an umbrella on a rainy day. The same guard she had once ignored rudely. Her team started noticing the change.
"Is that really Nadia?"
One person whispered during lunch. "She used to be so full of herself."
"I know,"
another replied. But that old Nadia was gone. The new Nadia didn't chase job titles anymore. She chased kindness. One rainy Thursday afternoon, as thunder rolled across the sky and water dripped steadily from the leaking roof outside her window, Nadia's Gmail notification pinged. Subject: Re-application for software engineer role. Her eyes widened. It was from Tech Cradle Solutions, a mid-level company she had applied to 2 months ago and completely forgotten about. She clicked it open, heart pounding hard. "Dear Miss Nadia Abraham, thank you for your application. We are pleased to invite you for a second interview, scheduled for next week, Thursday." Her hands flew to cover her mouth. A second interview? This wasn't just another small startup. It was a reputable company with international clients and real growth opportunities. The salary wouldn't match her former job, but it was a big step up from where she was now. Excitement rushed through her, but so did fear. Was she ready? Had she truly changed? That night, Nadia called someone she hadn't spoken to in months. Her mother.
"Mummy,"
she whispered when the woman answered. "Nadia?" Her mother gasped. "Is this really you?" "Mummy, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Her mother didn't speak right away. Then softly, "I've already forgiven you." Nadia wiped tears from her eyes. "I miss you," she said. "I miss you too. Your brothers and sisters ask for you every day. I want to come visit this weekend," Nadia said. "Come. There's always food for you here." That Saturday, Nadia boarded a public bus and rode all the way to Argonne. When she stepped out and saw the familiar dusty streets of her childhood, something in her heart ached and healed at the same time. Children still ran barefoot across the potholes. Women still sold fried yam by the roadside. The scent of home, of struggle and strength, welcomed her back. Her mother's eyes watered as she opened the front door. She had aged, but her love hadn't changed. They hugged tightly. That evening, as they shared a plate of jollof rice, Nadia looked her siblings in the eyes and said, "Don't ever think you're less than anyone else, because of where you come from." Thursday arrived. Nadia stood before the mirror wearing a modest navy blue dress and a soft smile. No flashy jewelry, just her, a pen, and the lessons life had written into her heart. When she entered Tech Cradle Solutions, the receptionist smiled warmly. "Good morning," the lady greeted. "Good morning," Nadia replied genuinely. "You're doing a great job." The receptionist blinked, surprised. No one ever said that to her. Nadia walked into the interview room, where 3 panelists sat waiting. To her surprise, one of them was a person she recognized. It was the same young man who had helped Madame Maraca up from the ground in the market, the one who had helped the beggar, while Nadia had walked away. He recognized her too. Their eyes met and locked. There was a long silence. Then he smiled. It wasn't a mean smile. It was warm, like someone who knew she had changed. "This Nadia," he said, extending his hand. "Welcome. Let's begin." The aftermath. When Nadia stepped out of the building, she wasn't sure if she had done well in the interview, but she was sure of something else. She had earned her dignity back. She had apologized to those she hurt. She had returned to the roots she once rejected, and she had started giving back. Every Friday now, she sent 5,000 naira worth of groceries to a struggling widow near her new office. She didn't ask for thanks. She didn't take pictures. She just gave because, for the first time, she understood that kindness is never beneath you. One Tuesday morning, 2 weeks after the interview, she received a package. No name on the box, just a gold-embossed envelope. Inside was a neatly folded invitation card. "Dear Nadia Abraham, you are cordially invited to the 10th Anniversary Gala of Innovative Hub. Venue, the Grand Hall, Victoria Island. Time, 6:00 p.m. Friday. Dress code formal. Entry by invite only." Her hands trembled. Innovative Hub. After everything that had happened, why would they invite her? Then she saw the initials at the bottom corner. Mem. Madame Maraca. Nadia sat down slowly, heart pounding. What did this mean? Was it forgiveness? Was it another test? Whatever it was, she knew one thing. She would show up. But this time, not to boast, not to prove anything, but to walk in grace and face whatever was coming next. Friday evening came faster than Nadia expected. She stood in front of her small mirror, hands trembling slightly as she adjusted the sleeves of her long, simple black dress. No flashy makeup, no designer labels, just a quiet elegance that came from within. This time she wasn't dressing to impress. She was dressing with humility. The gala venue glowed like a palace. Gold chandeliers hung from the ceiling, velvet carpets covered the floors, and there was a sea of important people, tech giants and media personalities everywhere. Nadia stepped out of the cab she could barely afford, clutching the invitation in her palm like it was her last proof of belonging. The guards at the entrance looked her over, but said nothing. Once they saw the invitation card, they opened the gates. "Welcome, Miss Nadia Abraham," one of them said. She almost laughed at hearing her name spoken with respect again in such a fancy place. Inside, familiar faces buzzed around everywhere. Old colleagues, ex-teammates. Even her former manager was there, laughing with executives. Some noticed her, some stared. Whispers followed her. Wasn't that the girl who was fired? What is she doing here? But Nadia kept her head up, not with arrogance this time, but with quiet strength. Then the lights dimmed. The host stepped up to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Innovative Hub's 10th anniversary gala. Applause filled the air. The speech began. Memories were shared, projects were highlighted, awards were given, and then the host smiled. Now, to close tonight's celebration, please welcome to the stage the founder and CEO of Innovative Hub, Mr. Jonathan Okoye. The crowd rose in applause. Jonathan walked in wearing a sleek black tuxedo, his expression warm and composed. But Nadia's eyes widened, because walking beside him, radiant in golden lace, was Madame Maraca. She looked directly at Nadia and smiled. Jonathan stepped to the podium. He gave his speech, thanking partners, honoring mentors, and encouraging young tech minds. But then he paused. "Before I end," he said, "I want to share a story about pride, kindness, and second chances." When the whole fell silent, he began to speak, not with names at first, but with purpose. He spoke of a brilliant young woman who rose fast, but forgot where she came from. He spoke of how her arrogance led to an unforgettable mistake, one that hurt someone very close to him. He spoke of how she lost everything, and how she found herself again. And then, for the first time, he said her name. Nadia Abran. Gasps rippled through the hall. Nadia froze completely. "I want to tell you all tonight," Jonathan continued, "that redemption is possible. Nadia made a mistake, but she didn't stay down. She owned it, she learned, and she changed." He stepped away from the microphone and turned to her. "Nadia, please come forward." She didn't move at first. Then slowly, shakily, she rose. All eyes followed her as she walked down the aisle toward the stage. Tears shimmered in her eyes, but she held her head high, not with pride, but with grace. When she reached the stage, Jonathan took her hand. Madame Maraca stepped forward too. In front of the entire hall, she smiled gently. "You hurt me," she said softly. "But you came back. You asked for forgiveness. You showed growth. That's what makes you stronger than before." Then she turned to her son. "I think your company could use someone like that." Jonathan nodded. "We'd be honored to have you back, Nadia. But this time, not just for your coding skills, for your character." A stunned silence filled the room. Then applause. Slow at first, then stronger. People rose to their feet. Nadia stood there, unable to speak, her chest tight with gratitude. She had been kicked out in shame. Now she was welcomed back, with honor. But the greatest gift she received that night wasn't the offer to return. It was the lesson, and the chance to begin again with humility in her heart and kindness in her hands. Nadia didn't take the same job back. Instead, she requested to return as a junior mentor for the company's Ethics in Tech initiative, where she now tells her story to interns and junior engineers. And every Friday, she still visits the market, not to buy anything, but to serve. Because life had taught her a powerful truth. Titles fade, looks deceive, but kindness always speaks loudest. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.